the way I recommend you find that out is tapping into what your heart desires. What are you good at? What do you love? What did you do when you were younger? Like, what inspired you? I got lost on the train and I just thought I needed to make money.
Hey guys, I'm Ashley Dawn Rivard, and you are now Into the Dawn, a provocative podcast that looks at all things taboo, such as suicide, grief, sex, addictions, and more. Each week, I talk with experts who successfully investigate their areas of interest. And if you like what you hear, please remember to subscribe. Troy Casey, the certified health nut, has successfully restored physical, mental, and emotional balances to clients who have failed with all other systems. As a Versace model in Milan 31 years ago, Troy studied nutrition, herbs, and internal purification as a way of looking and feeling great in front of the camera. He scoured the earth for the most powerful health and healing methods, working with the indigenous tribes in the Amazon as a medicine hunter. His book, Ripped at 50, A Journey to Self-Love, has all the tools you need to restore and keep your health optimal. So, what was really the defining moment for you that put you on this health track? Because I know with your story and what you share in the book, which is a pretty phenomenal, we'll call it a roller coaster ride. What was that defining moment that you decided to step up the game?
You mean like really clean up my life?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was really just being sick and tired of being sick and tired in my modeling career, and just drinking and hating my modeling career, and not the career itself, but the industry and the weird games that were played in that business. And then my friends told me, hey, you're wasting your potential. And I heard that way too many times, and that was enough impetus to start looking into that. And I wanted things that were better in my life as well, and I wanted to grow. And I moved to LA to become an actor, and I started trying to get sober years before that, actually. But when I finally moved to LA, I was like, all right, I can't build a new career on, being a party animal. And so it was time to grow.
Yeah. So was that before you moved to LA, did you find ayahuasca? Because I know in your book you said really that took you on a path, right?
Well, I had three very big wake-up calls. One was I started studying Vipassana meditation, which was presented to me. The idea of meditation and prayer, or contemplation, meditation, prayer, was step 11 in AA. I started late 94, I think early 95. I think I went to my first AA meeting. And there was some things about AA I didn't like either. But the one thing that stuck, the people that spoke about step 11 that really helped their lives, there was a je ne sais quoi about them. There was something very interesting, something resonant. Mm-hmm. And then years later, I had a really challenging time. I think it was New Year's with a girlfriend, and we broke up, and, I destroyed the relationship, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to change. I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to change. And I started meditating. I didn't know what I was doing. And then 4 months later, a waiter turned me on to Vipassana meditation with S.N. Goenka. And I sat my first 10-day course in silence, which is pretty intense.
Very intense.
People think ayahuasca is intense, but it's like, go and try and do 10 days in silence. The amount of energy your jaw gets just from moving, your shoulders, like everything's connected. And, meditation is, they did the asanas so that people could practice meditation. So like yoga, if you're looking at yoga, which the definition of yoga means union of body and mind, they would do the asanas to relax the body so that asanas and pranayama, so you could get the mind stable enough to sit there and deal with the subtle vibrations inside your body. And so the training that I went through in the 10 days, it took you through that process without yoga. And so you ended up dealing with yourself, and the body unwound on such a deep cellular level. I mean, at one point I thought my femur was going to dislocate from my hip, literally. And I heard other people talking to the teachers and complaining, and they wanted to sit up against the wall. And one guy had he felt like it was a 800-pound gorilla on his back. And, and that's like stuff that we carry on, the burden that we carry on that shows up in the physical body. I came out of it and it felt like truckloads of stuff, garbage, trauma was off of me. And so I practiced that for 6 years pretty religiously, 2 hours a day. And I did 11 courses total. And that was a huge part of my wake-up call. But if you back up all the way, when I started modeling, I had digestive problems. And that's how I got into nutrition. That's how I discovered herbs. That's how I discovered, whole food eating. And that was a process as well. And I believe truly now, after 30 years and healing my gut and healing my metabolism, I had constipation for most of my adult life. And I kept discovering and doing fasting and different internal cleanses, liver cleanses, and colon cleanses. And this helped me. It helped me, but I didn't cure my constipation until later on, until I started getting into breathwork and Taoist stomach massage. But it was that initial digestive issues. I like to say there's two forces on this planet, yin and yang, and your curse is your gift, right? It's two sides of the same coin. But the gift is, after 30 years, I've amassed some form of expertise that it shows up in my tissues, and I'm able to speak and inspire others to transform their life.
What is the biggest stigma for men in health? Whether it be for men in their 50s, because you're in your 50s, or in general, what do you feel is the biggest stigma for men that you're helping everyone overcome?
Well, I think one of the biggest stigma and the biggest taboo is that men feel inadequate, because you got 70% of the American people that are obese or overweight right now. And people don't know how to take care of their body, and they feel inadequate. And they contact me on the internet like I'm God's gift to something or other, but I work at everything that I do. Half the practices that I picked up was to stabilize my own imbalances, to stabilize my own dysfunction, whether that's emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, however it's showing up. Physical being the last manifestation of the mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so, these practices I've just implemented because I wanted a better life. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be a better version of myself, whether that was in front of the camera as a model and as an actor. I wanted to look and feel my best. But then, continuing as a family man, I want to be well rested. I want to be energized. I'm wired to, I need to feel good just as a baseline.
Right.
And I think a big stigma that's out there right now is the shame that people look in the mirror and they don't add up to, especially for women, I see this as well, but they don't add up to the, advertising, the television advertising. For men, they use regular guys in a lot of advertising, but for women, it's much more difficult because they use the models. Not everybody looks like that. And so, but the bottom line is that an animal in the wild is going to be svelte and have its musculature. Now, everyone's got there's at least 3, different body types. And so it's not that everyone needs to look exactly the same, but you want to have a certain level of vitality, virility. We also have infertility issues that are happening right now, male sterility. These are big issues, and these have to do with our environment. We're only as healthy as the environment, and the environment's compromised. And we've got xenoestrogens that affect hormones. We've got chemical surface runoff in the airways and the waterways, and these are showing up in our tissues. Price Pottinger Foundation was set up on this whole principle. Weston A. Price traveled to indigenous cultures and studied them, and they had 30 pearly whites into their old age. And then people that were in the modern world would eat sugar and candied and dry fruits and stuff like that. Their teeth would rot. And then this would cause crowding. And then the next generation, they would also have issues with their palate and their growth and their how the cranium developed. So this is all in his book, I think it's Weston A. Price, something degenerative diseases. And then Pottinger did the study on 4 generation of cats eating processed foods. And in the first generation, there were some mental problems and some basic health problems. By the 3rd and 4th generation, we were looking at sterility. They were losing their hair. They were losing their mental health. And what are we doing right now? We're dealing with a huge mental health issue. We're dealing with depression. Suicide amongst men is extremely high. People are feeling inadequate. They're out of balance. They're out of balance with nature. And that's the basic principle and the basic fundamental elements of my book. We are nature. We're symbiotic relationship with nature. How do you expect the world to be healthy if we're not healthy ourselves? And that applies to the natural law of correspondence, which there's 7 immutable laws. And the natural law of correspondence states, as above, so below. The macro is the micro. We're all connected.
Right. And something you say in your book that I enjoyed was you made it clear in the very beginning, this is not a book on diet, on, exercise, right? It's optimal health. And you touched on the fact of, obviously we need movement. We need to put good foods in our system, but you also are, you live your life with all pillars of the mental, emotional, spiritual. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but like with men, especially maybe in their 50s, they've just chased what men are supposed to chase, right? Money. And they're dying inside, but they're, my opinion, they're not going to show it. And you're really kind of making people go in, right? Not just like, let's eat right and exercise, but let's get, our mind, body, spirit together. Did you?
Let's not try to outrun our bad diet. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
People shovel in garbage and then they think they're going to solve all their problems in the gym. And the gym is only one facet of the 9 pillars.
Touch on those 9 pillars.
So the 9 pillars are fundamental principles, foundation principles. In physics, they call it first principles. So you've got nature and all of its facets. We need nature. We need to be grounded to the earth. There's a lot of research on earthing and inflammation, just getting your feet into the ground. Especially with all the electromagnetic radiation, pollution, Wi-Fi, you've got wattage, amperage from dirty electricity and 60 megahertz cycle, which Tesla invented. Tesla said when he invented them that it's not good for the bioresonance field of the human being. And so it's important to get grounded into nature, get the sunlight on the body. And what did we do? Everybody's worried about sunscreen and skin cancer. When you have the proper antioxidants in your body and the good nutrition, and you acclimate yourself to the skin. We also have people from northern climate genealogy, right? I'm a northern European. I have to acclimate my skin to be able to be healthy. And I'm in the sun all the time. So nature, forest bathing, wild water, jumping in the ocean. These things are all extremely healthy, and we lost our connection. Rubber soles were created in the 60s, and we've literally been disconnected from the earth from that. And so nature's a major principle. Relationships, a lot of us carry burdens. The human condition is real. I did a lot of studying. I did a lot of personal development and training. I did landmark forum type training, confrontational psychology. It came from Est in the 70s. I did a program called MITT, and I witnessed 60 people in an advanced course going through their biggest childhood issues. And let me tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the room, and everyone had serious issues, whether it was physical trauma, abuse from being in a foster home and being physically abused or burned, like the human condition is real, or someone else being perceived wronged. Maybe someone died in the family and the parent or the sibling didn't treat them properly, and they felt that was wronged. And so, we carry this type of burden. So in the book, one of the pillars is relationships. Get cool with your relationships, forgive them, and let go of resentments, because having resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to hurt. And we carry this stuff on for long periods of time. Ayahuasca is a great way to dismantle that because it acts like a system defrag. And so it goes into the energy field, especially the nervous system where we hold our beliefs. And if you've got a program running inside your biocomputer, and it's taking up a lot of your energy, and it's angst or resentment against someone else, it's going to pull it out. It's going to give you a vision. Hey, you're angry. You're still angry at your mother or your sister. Do you want to let this go? Because it's taking up a lot of your energy, which is affecting your long-term survival. Mm-hmm. So relationships are another important thing. And one of the most important things is where the book starts out with is your legacy, your dream, your purpose, especially for men. This acts as a true north, as a guiding light, as a roadmap to your life. And the way I recommend you find that out is tapping into what your heart desires. What are you good at? What do you love? What did you do when you were younger? Like, what inspired you? I got lost on the train and I just thought I needed to make money in this world. And even Joseph Campbell talks about, follow your bliss. Mm-hmm. But we don't have training for that. Right. We have training in the industrial age school system. And I'm here to tell everyone, a newsflash, breaking news, the industrial age is over.
Right.
It's long over.
What can men do then? I mean, with this like just high speed world, right? Mm-hmm. And the programming of the machismo, we'll say that, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's still something we come up against. A lot of people don't know what their heart wants, their soul wants, mm-hmm. right? Because you do need to take that period of slowing down mm-hmm. to really slow down and kind of look at, okay, is that society, family, religion, what is running the show here, right? Like, what is my operating system of why I'm doing what I'm doing? What can then a man who's extremely busy, who's on this, we'll call it a hamster wheel, mm-hmm. what can they, you know what? I don't even want to say men because I think women too. Mm-hmm. You might disagree, but I think women have a legacy as well that mm-hmm. they want to leave. And whether it be just some women want to be a mother, which is amazing.
Which is huge. Yeah. And that is such an important job on this planet to guide the children of the future to the next level of our development and our consciousness. So yeah. I truly believe that is enough. Right. And Absolutely. That needs to be ultimately respected. Not that a woman can't be a CEO or a doctor or anything else. Please, whatever somebody wants to do, I honor that as long as they're not hurting someone else. Mm-hmm. And so, but when it comes down to child rearing, I know this because I played Mr. Mom and it ruined me hormonally. And so, I was exhausted and guess what? The kids didn't want to hang out with me.
Well, do you think
they wanted to hang out with her?
So you don't think that men should be at stay at home moms? Or do you think there's a balance that needs to be found on how to implement the masculine and the feminine into that?
I think everyone has their roles. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I went through my divorce that I reconnected with my primal roots. And I really understood my role. I think traditionally men are wired to see what's on the horizon to eat and what's on the horizon that may eat them and the family, and to be able to protect that mm-hmm. and set up a perimeter so the feminine can dance. Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing a little bit of David Data's work in Way of the Superior Man, which I do believe it has application. I do believe we have masculine and feminine roles, and the law of gender states that we have masculine and feminine inside of both of us. So you want to find that balance inside of both of us. Finding that ultimate balance. And so, but we do have roles, and I do believe that my role is to help and provide for the family and protect them and make decisions that's better for the family. And now that I've brought my family back together, I remarried my ex-wife. I got my business on point by listening to my intuition, activating my primal animal so I can actually understand where I am in the environment and execute that. And even if I fall on my face, because I like to say I'm failing my way to success, literally.
Yeah.
And because I could just keep going, and you listen to other people talk about success, perseverance is it. And that's what I talk about in my book. If you're just consistent with your hydration, your nutrition, your sleep, your movement, your nature, you're focused on your dream, you're consistent, you're building your dream, maybe your dream shifts, etc. And I have some exercises in the book for men to figure out their dream, because we were on that subject earlier. So if you just apply these basic fundamental pillars on a regular and constant basis, and you're consistent, you will achieve results. And so, and I just think that we've lost our way for that, and people are chasing the dollar. But this book was targeted to executives that have the mistresses, their Ferraris and mansions and, all the money in the world. And they're making decisions in media and other aspects of business that are not helping the future of our planet. Because right now we're making a lot of decisions based on oil, based on raping and pillaging the planet for its natural resources. We're not growing hemp, which is a sustainable crop. Instead, we're cutting down trees and clear cutting forests. And there's a price to pay on that. So I'm here to help men rewire themselves, because we're only conscious to the degree we're healthy, and we're only healthy to the degree we're conscious. So if people are unhealthy, once they get healthy, they understand that they are connected to the environment and they have to do something. And so a lot of executives in Hollywood here, a lot of people are drinking ayahuasca right now, and that is waking people up. And then they're starting to make decisions and creating foundations and using their business acumen to either start new businesses or create avenues to help the world. Jerry at Rhythmia is a perfect example. He was a very successful businessman. He was an asshole, and he hired, and he was trying to get off pills and alcohol. And he hired the medical director for Passages in Malibu. He made a trip to Passages. He, read about it in the literature. Flew out to California. He talks about it in his book and in his seminars that the only thing he wanted to do with women was have sex with them, and with guys is have money with them. Otherwise, everybody else he was fighting with all the time. He was getting into fights at Nobu, and he was just a jerk. And so he did Passages for 90 days. It got him only so far. And then he liked the medical director, so he hired him, and then did his own research. And the guy was on payroll, and somehow Jerry found iboga in Costa Rica, and he went down and drank it, and his life completely changed. And then told Dr. Jeff, the medical director from Passages, that he had to do it. And Dr. Jeff's like, I'm a medical doctor. I'm not going to do psychedelics. And he's like, you're on my payroll. You're going to do it. And Dr. Jeff figured out that you can do 20 years of therapy in one night with these extremely powerful jungle tools, right? Iboga, ayahuasca, peyote, which is desert medicine, San Pedro, desert medicine. These tools have been on the planet for a very long time, but they've been vilified, just like marijuana, because they outperform textiles, they outperform pharmaceutical drugs. And what are our industrial magnates doing? They're trying to control. They're setting up monopolies that only, state licensed doctors can treat, mitigate, or cure any kind of mental illness, physical illness. And so we're kind of locked into these systems. And then these systems are also funded by the industrial age school system. So it keeps everything into block in place. My mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. It's just time to upgrade the systems. It's not like I'm against, or we don't need another revolution. I think we fought all the revolutions. We need an evolution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. For everyone. Well, let me ask you this. Is this book just for men?
No, this book is for every man, woman, and child, healthy or sick, young or old. It is an owner's manual for the human body, temple, the spiritual spacesuit.
When I read the book, that's how I felt. I was like, oh, there's a lot of great information, and you really lay out your story and filtrate it throughout the pillars as well, which helps you connect, right? Helps the reader connect and go, oh, wow, this guy's been through some shit, and he keeps going. and you're still young, I would say, in my opinion.
I feel like a spring chicken.
When you were saying helping men with their legacy in that part, I question again, like, well, is it for women as well? Like
anybody.
Women finding their legacy?
It's for anyone. And what I do with clients, men or women, but especially women, it's like, do you want to have children? Because let's put that out on your legacy right now. It's a biological element. Nature's first law is self-preservation. Mm-hmm. So everyone wants to get laid at the biochemical level. Mm-hmm. That's why I made the cover the way I made it. You know, the Kardashian type, you know, pornography runs the internet. It mm-hmm. fuels everything. So our mind is on sex no matter what. It's part of our nature. And what does sex represent? It represents love. It represents family, right? These are the deeper connected elements. And so, but the corporations know this and they use it against us, right? If you don't brush your teeth with this, you're not going to get the girl, and they're trying to sell you goods and services. So the fact of the matter is, get really clear if that's what you want, because sleeping around is probably not going to, you know, really help you. And getting off pornography, I definitely think will help you find the right woman. And so all that's in the book. And so what I do with women, when I have women clients come over, I do the most important part of my work is the dream, the purpose, and the legacy, because it gives you a roadmap. If you want to go to San Francisco and you start driving towards Phoenix, that might not be the most efficient way to get there, mm-hmm. right? You might end up finding your way. Somebody mm-hmm. might point you in the other direction, but it's going to take you a lot longer if you just go up the 5 and over into the Bay. And so the tools that I have is to help work out it from your heart desire. So again, back to what you love, really just what do you mm-hmm. love as a kid? Do you like to sing? Do you like to dance? Do you like to draw? Do you like to cook food? Do you like to take care of kids? Do you like to make kids? You know, it's like, it's like, do you like carpentry? I mean, we don't have a lot of skills like we used to, survival skills and stuff. So people really don't understand. Most people say, I just want to travel, you know, but let me tell you, from someone who traveled professionally for years, that gets old quick. And so, and hanging out at the beach, I live at the beach, you know, you don't hang out at the beach all the time, trust mm-hmm. me. And so really understanding what it is that you want, and then plugging in those gifts, because we all have gifts from the Creator, unique gifts, right? You've read a book or you watched a movie, you know, you've seen majestic elements out there. That's for people that are watching Kobe Bryant. I mean, that's his gift. That was his gift, his athletic prowess. And to watch that, that's beautiful. And so every single human being out there has that in them. Mm-hmm. Absolutely 100%. Even if that's a loving, tender kiss to a young person or an old person or someone dying. Mm-hmm. How about that? There's people in hospice and nurse, and they're beautiful. They love their work, right? How about public speaking? The number one feared thing in the world is public speaking for a human being. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. I speak all over the world. Mm-hmm. I thrive on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yes, it's a little fearful. I use the butterflies to make the magic. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, one man's poison is another man's food. Yeah. And so what someone else doesn't like, someone else loves. You know, for example, my mother is just an amazing, she's an amazing worker bee. She likes to be working for mm-hmm. someone consistently. I think she lived in Scotland for a while, and I think she worked for the same company for 22 years. She's been in Maui for a while, and I think she's worked for the same company for 15 years, you know, and if you have a business and you're a business person, you want that type of employee. Mm-hmm. You want someone that cares, loyal, right? And I also think, we all have to do our work. That's part of us. Mm-hmm. Whether there's money, because I believe in a world beyond money, whether there's money or not, we still have to do some type of contributionism to the world. Mm-hmm. Some people like art, that's one of my major solutions is the gift economy for the future of the planet. And I liken it to, you know, the perfect example is your favorite rock star. You know, they're probably extremely wealthy. You would take your shirt off your back to just give it to them and tell them how much you love them, right? And so And we do that. We give them our money to hear their music, right?
Sure.
And so that already exists. I just do believe, and I'm not the only one with a wild idea, right? You got Peter Diamandis, Singularity University. He's in business with Elon Musk and Tony Robbins. He's already talking about a world beyond money, post-capitalistic world in the next 12 years. We're going to have driverless cars. The car market's going to be gone.
Yeah,
this is in the next 6 or 7 years. No, it's all future.
Oh, I know, but I don't trust that. I mean, there's glitches all the time.
There's human glitches too.
I know.
There's a lot of crashes.
I know. I get it. And I agree with you 100% on this whole...
Change is coming. And the only constant in the universe is change.
Is change. And, but yeah, I really... We'll say when you were unconscious to when you were conscious. Okay.
Yeah.
So in your modeling career, in acting, all of that, were you conscious that you were lying to yourself?
Well, that is actually my biggest fear is, BSing myself. And so, lying to myself, I think when I was modeling, I don't know if it was so much lying to myself as I was lost and not really in tune with my heart's desire. Because I wasn't doing anything against my values.
Or we could say hiding from yourself,
Yeah, I simply just did not know who I was.
Yeah.
I went through school. I'm living in this world. I go to college. I see that money, makes the world go round. What makes money? Okay, I talk to my counselors. Well, science and math, you need those for science and math jobs and engineering jobs or whatever. So you need to get those underneath your belt because that's where more money is at. So that's the direction that I went when I was in college. And then I got into the modeling industry because I was like, well, that seems pretty easy, right? Just take some pictures. I didn't know the mechanics of it and the ins and outs. And I heard that there was good money. You make $5,000 a day. That's good money. I didn't know that you only work a few times a year, maybe. Sometimes you work more than others, but it's like feast or famine. I've got extremely successful actor friends. My good friend, Michael DeLuise, his dad was a famous actor and comedian as well. And Michael was in many great movies, Wayne's World and Encino Man. He said he was out of work for 2 months, 3 months, 9 months, and 2 years in a 20-year career. And so, there's a lot of ups and downs. So there was that illusion of making that money, the big money. And then there was the reality of it didn't feed my soul. The money wasn't worth it, is what I'm saying. The mental gymnastics and psychological, issues I had to deal with, I didn't like it. That's why I like being an entrepreneur. So I can write my own ticket. I can dance to the beat of my own drum. I can figure it out for myself.
How many people do you think out there, percentage wise, are not feeding their soul? Even 10, 20 years ago, maybe still like that whole paradigm of get out, go to college, get out, find a man, find a woman, start a family, have kids, right? And then the divorce happens in their 30s. But so how many people do you feel are not feeding their soul and they're living lives that aren't thriving within?
I mean, I don't want to just pull a number out of thin air, but I would say the majority of the population.
Yeah.
I mean, most people aren't happy.
Yeah.
Most people aren't excited about life. Most people, if you talk to them for 5 minutes, within 3 to 5 minutes, they're going to start complaining about their health or their wealth or what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that is humanity's round peg trying to fit into a square industrial world, right? We're not just all industrial automatons. We are so much more than that. We are powerful co-creators, and we're not being taught that. We're not being taught what they taught in the Egyptian mystery schools or in Neoplatonic philosophy, which is alchemy, which is what all the learned people of before the industrial age school system, learned, that, you create and affect matter with your words and your thoughts. The mind is a tool, and you program that through your heart's desire. And the Da Vinci's of the world, everyone's a Da Vinci. Everyone's an Einstein. Everyone has their genius. And it's important that you find your genius, and your genius is exactly attached to what you love and what you're passionate about. I've found my genius kind of by default. And I just think in the new paradigm and the new world that we're moving into, and the world's changing fast. And I think 2020 is I know 2020 is a huge transformation. We're sitting in the middle of a coronavirus scare, pandemonium, and it hasn't even started. I think even later on this week, it's going to get more intense. And so, and I see that is necessary to break down the old, and then the phoenix can rise from the ashes. And that's what needs to happen. That's what is happening. And I studied the Hopi prophecy and the eagle and the condor prophecy, and walked the Mayan temples and the Incan temples. And I saw visions when I was in the Amazon drinking ayahuasca. And this is just a great time of transformation. The Mayan calendar was on point. 2012 was just a portal. And not only that, but there's the mechanics of the numbers and the 26,000 year precession of the equinoxes. And we're not going to have maybe the exact date down perfectly, but I still think whatever that date was, we moved through the portal, and 2020 is on the other side. Astrologically, we're moving into the age of Aquarius. At the end of the year, 2020 represents inner vision. There's always number, and you can break down the etymology of words. There's deeper meaning. Do you believe in astrology? Well, I loved what my astrologer friend, Scott Tajarian, said. I think he's thedailytransit.com and date-time-place on Instagram. He's a brilliant guy. He was a writer. He was a Hollywood writer, and studied writing, worked for, I think, William Morris. And he was helping me with Certified Health Nut, my brand and television show, many, many years ago. And he says, okay, so you've got the sun and the moon, and you've got the earth, and the oceans of the earth weigh something. What does he say? It's like 130 metric cubic tons. He's got like a word for it, like a huge measurement. And the moon affects the tides of the ocean, and you're 70% water. Do you think that the Pluto and the Neptune and the Mars and the Mercury and all these other transit elements may have a pull on you? It's a language, right? It's a language that the ancients knew, the constellations, the zodiac. And so if the moon can pull the oceans of the water, the ocean waters on planet Earth, then it might have an effect on you. Right? And I think that makes some valid points, especially when he came over my house and accurately pinpoint me and my wife's psychological issues. Really? Based on your birthdays? Oh, yeah. And time? What is your birthday? December 30th. So you're a Sag or Capricorn? Capricorn. Huh. And so, I mean, there's the language of astrology, how he educated me. And he just read my charts a couple of weeks ago, my whole family. And it was extremely accurate. And he also talked about all the transits that are coming up. We just went through one of the biggest full moons on the 9th. I mean, how was your week last week? Terrible. Aha. I went down. Okay. A few days before, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Inner volcano. But I'm aware enough to know, like, okay, this moon is really... Yeah, so it's not necessarily a belief. It's a thing. Yeah. There's physical elements, and it's pulling on the waters of your body and your unique structure. I like how you say that. It makes it more tangible. Yeah. You know, not so... Look, I'm a believer in it, but I'm a believer in everything you're saying. And I know other people I come in contact with, or if I'm talking, I'm like, wait, this isn't normal to them? This talking about this stuff, but it's an interesting thing. And like how you said, it has relevance. I don't want to base it like, get neurotic. 100%. It's not a license to be neurotic. you know, and you still got to get on with your life, but it's good. Like last week was pretty intense. Coronavirus looks like we might go into a quarantine the next couple of days. Like look at the astrology, you know, it was crazy last week. And so, and we're moving astrologically, we're moving at the end of the year into the age of Aquarius. So big changes on the horizon.
What does your day look like health-wise? Well, your day, I mean, I know you're a walking embodiment of what you preach. So if somebody wants to know, okay, what's this certified health nut? Well, that's your name, right?
Yes, that's my official title.
That's your official title.
I'm not an MD. I'm a CHN.
CHN. What does your day look like? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually? How do you, tune your instrument and connect and be efficient?
Well, I like to move my body every day. That's for sure. I go to Gold's Gym in Venice, and I also go to Muscle Beach, and I ride my bicycle. I do Qigong, and I do a lot of breath work. To be honest, I practiced Vipassana meditation for 6 years, from 1999 to 2005. I haven't done a course since 2005. 10 days, actually 12 days to go up there and come back is a lot of time for your modern human to get that type of, and plus there's a little bit of an integration process, and so I haven't sat at a Vipassana course, but I've been wanting to boost my meditation. We just moved back in together. We just got remarried, and we just last week moved into a new 3-bedroom house. So I have a new space. My yoga mat's right next to my bed with my meditation pillow. And so what I'm saying is I'm expressing my own shortcomings. I want to bump up my meditation. Mm-hmm. I think it's necessary because the world's a little chaotic right now, and I want to be grounded and centered. And although I do breath work sometimes throughout the day, and I'll just drop down, I'll do 10 breaths out of a cold shower and just and hold that just to get my breath work and my consciousness kind of mellowed out. So I'll do that at any given moment. But
it has a quick effect.
Yeah. I mean, you just do 5-10 breaths anytime you want. Try and work on your mechanics, make sure your diaphragm's opening up, and then do a breath hold as well. And that'll shift your state, at any time of the day. You throw in a cold shower before or after, and it's magic. And so, I do that already, but I'm going to bump up my meditation is what I'm trying to say to you guys. Meditation's a tough sell to my clients and your average day human. Things are moving so fast. People are doing emails late at night. I need to get to bed at 10. Sometimes I get to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I feel it. The closer I get to bed till 12, I feel it. Mm. And then boom, kids got to get up for school the next day, and it's like, I'm on. And so what I like to do is drop off the kids. I hydrate first thing in the morning, herbs, minerals. I have like an herbal salad. I have, dried capsules and herbs. I have some wheatgrass and some spirulina. Sometimes, I work with an herbal company. I've got great, organic products. So sometimes I take some of that. Maybe it's just, high quality water in my body, maybe with some minerals. And then maybe some wheatgrass. I'll have some capsules, some herbs, depending on what I'm feeling. I have vitamin C from nature. I take that. Just really intuitively. I have a huge cabinet that has all my herbs on it and everything. And so I'll hydrate, and I'll take micronutrition first thing in the morning. Then I'll have a green juice. I work with a wheatgrass company, and I'll have a green juice. And I have super high quality amino acids. So I'll get the protein production happening in my body. And then I'll go to the gym. Basically fasted. I do like a calorie restricted fasting, even though I'll have some small amounts of materials going through my liver and digestive tract. It's all pre-digested. Mm-hmm. And so I'll flood my body with pre-digested nutrition, hydrate, go to the gym fasted, work out my body depending on if I have the energy, I can work out. If I don't feel so well, or if I got a tweak or something like that, I'll do more stretching and stuff like that. If I'm riding my bike that day, I'll come home, maybe get back on my bike and go back out to Muscle Beach. I create a lot of content. So I'm making probably 10 to 15 pieces of content every single day. So I'm on my phone a lot. I like to get into a full body squat and work on it, so I'm not craning my neck as much. And then I'll start eating, depending on how hungry I am. I'll start eating around 2 or 3, maybe have a meal or a snack.
You don't eat till 2 or 3 in the day.
Oh, yeah.
So do you call this intermittent fasting?
You could call it that. Some people are more strict on their definition of fasting, but I call it calorie restricted intermittent fasting. So basically, I don't want my body bogged down with metabolic processes. I want my mind to be clear, and I want all the energy that's coming for me. And I watch my blood sugar closely. It's not an everyday rule. Sometimes I have breakfast. It really just depends on how I feel. But usually fresh squeezed juices or herbs and superfoods that I work with, water, maybe some pre-digested amino acids, but that's about it. Nothing to tax my metabolism. And as long as I can do that, the better, because you go into a state of ketosis and autophagy, so fat burning, and then the body scavenging the dead cells in it as well. And so it's just a way to optimize the body, and it's a key to longevity as well. I'm pretty calorie restricted, and
you eat once a day?
Pretty much. Maybe I'll have a snack, or, my digestion. And again, I had to figure this out for my own digestion. My digestion can be a little bit slower, or it takes me a long time. Like once I start eating, it's hard for me to put liquids behind that, because my digestion, it just gets a little backed up. So I'd rather hydrate in the morning, and then when I'm ready to start eating, and I can eat right before I go to bed too. And
be fine?
Yeah,
Your stomach doesn't?
Totally. I'm great. In fact, my body thrives on that. In fact, I was urinating a lot as I started to get older, in my 40s, and I was urinating a lot at night, and it was really messing up my sleep. And then I worked with my mentor, and he told me that that's a blood sugar issue. So it's a good idea to have some protein just before you go to bed, and it cured the problem overnight.
What do you eat for dinner, if you eat dinner?
I eat all organic, high quality, farmer direct, pasture raised, everything. I'm an omnivore. Specifically, I avoid white chicken breast, and my body doesn't like turkey that much. I only eat wild fish, and we trash the ocean, so there's not a lot of wild fish. I've got a good salmon fisherman that I get my salmon from at Santa Monica Farmers Market. But other than that, I eat elk, venison, I eat bison, I eat beef, and I just try and rotate it as much as possible so my body doesn't get intolerant. It doesn't get used to it.
Okay. Huh. And do you take any herbs at night to help you sleep?
I take tart cherry juice from the company I work with, and it's super high quality, organic. We've been making and manufacturing it for 27 years.
It helps.
Oh, yeah. It's the only plant on earth that has naturally occurring melatonin. The only plant. I don't recommend people take synthetic vitamins and minerals. They're garbage for the human body.
So just to be clear, because if women, who are so concerned about how we look and we want to be thin, or you're not recommending you don't restrict your diet or food intake for how you look. It's for how you feel
function.
And function, yeah.
It's how I function. And a direct feedback loop is the mirror. So if something's working or not working inside my body, all I got to do is look in the mirror, look at the clarity of my eyes, look at the clarity of my skin, the vibrance of my hair, right? The flatness of my stomach.
I read in your book that you said it wasn't until you started breathwork that you got a 6-pack. Why do you think that is?
Well, there was a couple of things that I did. But the breath work helped because I coupled it with Taoist stomach massage, and you have nerve endings that come through the vagus nerve. end up in your gut. And if you can imagine, you know, a child running out in the street and like, hey, don't, you know, the parents yelling, you freeze. And a lot of that gets stored in your abdomen area, your second and third chakra. And I had blockages there, and they were physical blockages from mental or emotional components. And when I started practicing the Taoist stomach massage during I'm all pretty much self-taught. I've had a couple people and I watch a bunch of YouTube videos, but when it comes to breath work, I saw some stuff, I practiced, I worked with some friends and I practiced it and I saw what works. And then I had a Taoist sexual Kung Fu teacher, and she taught us about the internal organ massage. And so I just coupled those two things together, and that cleared everything up. And I also did aged urine enemas, and that was huge.
Okay. What is that? That sounds so weird.
It's the ancient art of Shivambu. It's an ancient Ayurvedic technique. And so I go into, you know, ancient techniques, things that have worked, things before hospitals, before doctors, before any of what we have in the modern world. And I've been practicing Shivambu, urine therapy, for many years, but a friend of mine cured himself of testicular cancer. They wanted to take out his lymph nodes after chemo, and he was in his 30s, I think he was in his late 20s. And he was like, I don't like that idea, right? Because the chemo didn't get it. And so he went home and found it on the internet, read some literature, and started practicing it. And he looped his urine for 3 weeks, and he went back and the doctors couldn't find it. So he was also helping me with the breath work as well. His nickname's Dr. PP Shivambu.
I like that.
Yeah.
Nail it on the head.
He's a great guy. And so he was helping me with the breath work. And then there I was facing divorce. Me and my wife couldn't solve our problems. And he challenged me to a 7-day fast on my own urine and taught me about aged urine, which I knew nothing about. But if you look it up, Raquel Welch used to put it on her face as well. It's amazing for the skin. It has antibodies in it. Again, I see the look on your face.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out how do you do that? You catch your pee then? Like as you're urinating, you catch it in a cup or whatever, and then what do you do with it?
Then you store it. In
the fridge or
underneath
in the closet?
The cabinet. I used to put it out in the sun with a coffee filter over it so it would ferment, and then it would get gnarly. And then, I mean, look, I did my research enough, but I got to tell you, the results that I got off of it is no laughing matter.
I'm all about enemas. Trust me. Yeah. I love them. I love how I feel. I'm not opposed. I mean, I'm
not suggesting it for anyone.
I'm always up for a challenge, and I probably will end up doing that at some point. But what am I going to feel different versus a water enema or, you know, coffee enemas I've done? But that gives me a jolt of too much caffeine, actually. But I do like water with some peppermint oil, you know, clean that out. What is the difference with a urine?
Well, it's basically like straight ammonia, but the thing is it's from you, so it has your medicine in it. It has your hair of the dog. And so for me, I can only speak. Look, I hand out challenges all the time. I hand out 100-day qigong challenges. I hand out 100-day full body squat challenges. The fact of the matter is, I'm not challenging anybody to this. If you want to do your own research, go ahead. Right. I got tons of content. Somebody just did a documentary on me, and they labeled it A Day in the Life of a Urine Drinker. Everybody wants to poke fun of me. I don't care. I'm cool. I'm an open book. It's really helped me. I'm not advocating it for anyone, though. You got to do your own research. So I took the aged urine, and I got one of those bulbs with a needle on it from CVS. And lubed it up my butt, stuck it up there, and it really burned. And then I looked in the toilet bowl after I went to the bathroom. Well, I started wiping my butt, and I was like, there's some red stuff on there. And I was like, that I haven't had beats today, and I'm not bleeding.
Right.
And so, and then another time I looked in the toilet bowl, and there was this square jellyfish looking thing with like this tentacle that was like a hook. And if you know anything about parasites and fungal infections. And I mean, we're in symbiotic relationship with bacteria, funguses, viruses. Everybody's flipping out about the coronavirus. The fact of the matter is make yourself strong. Don't be a host, because they're everywhere. You go down to the Amazon, there's lichen growing on trees. You go out into the woods right here, probably in your neighborhood and right next to your building, there's probably mold and other elements. There's opportunistic creatures everywhere. So you don't want to be a host. You want to make yourself strong. That's what the book is about, is making yourself strong, because Mother Nature's garbage cleaners are parasites and fungus, which decomposes everything, puts it back into the earth for use. This is part of the closed organic life cycle. If you bury yourself in a pine wood box, eventually everything's going to be eaten by maggots and broken down. And so we've just gotten so far away from nature, we don't fully understand it. So don't become a piece of garbage. Don't treat your body like garbage. So that's what happened to me with the Shivambu practice, the aged urine enemas. And after that, with the breath work and the Taoist stomach massage, my stomach's been flat. Part of the problem when I was modeling is I had a distended stomach. And I'm a healthy guy. I'm a fitness guy. And I couldn't get my nutrition on point. It wasn't until 7 years ago, about 9 years ago, that I got the gluten piece. And that was a huge piece for me. And I'd been studying nutrition and everything else for a long time. What happened is I don't think we fully realized what was happening with the glyphosate, which is the herbicide from Monsanto. It's been sprayed and utilized since 1983, and it's exponentiated since 1996 when they brought GMOs on the market. But there's 3 patents for glyphosate, and glyphosate annihilates the gut microbiome. You add to that antibiotics, vaccines, and other elements, and this kills the gut microbiome. And then we've got, what do you got? You've got 70% of the American people that are obese or overweight. The immune system is your ability. The gut is directly related to your immune system, and your immune system is your ability to protect yourself against, any kind of biological entities, right? And so what do we have? What are our statistics? Autoimmune, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, autism 1 in 17 right now. These are anomalies, and everybody's freaking out about the coronavirus. The fact of the matter is, Black plagues happen. They have happened in the history of mankind, in recent history, right? So the Black Plague, happened and has already happened. So the potential for it, and we're living out of balance with nature. We are clearly out of balance. So the potential for some type of plague to sweep this planet is here.
Okay.
And we shouldn't be rushing to the store to get toilet paper and everything else, because guess what? That only lasts 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then what? Right? So now is the time. This is a clarion call to everyone to align yourself with nature. Apply the principles that I teach in my book. I'm not the only one. There's nothing new underneath the sun. I'm not the first person to teach this, but this is replication of the basics. This is no new fancy diet book or exercise book. This is the fundamental principles of biology, physiology, and psychology played out on how to be an optimal human being. And when we are optimal, then we can live in a balance with nature. And everyone's so afraid of getting the coronavirus. And what does that represent? Death. Like, everyone's afraid of death. Hey, newsflash, guys, everybody's going to die. The spiritual spacesuit wears out. And I'm here to tell you that there is no real ultimate death anyways. But that's a deeper philosophical, spiritual conversation. I'm not here to impress that on people. But the fact of the matter is, face your imminent death. Face it, because then you can live a life worth living.
Amen. Amen. Preach it, brother. Yeah. That was good. I like that.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. So what is the one takeaway you want to leave people with?
Be healthy. Go after your dreams. Be healthy. You need a healthy vessel to go after your dreams. You're here on earth for a reason. You have a gift. Give it.
Live full out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. And what would you tell your 20-year-old self that you wish you would have known?
I mean, I found health when I was 23. And so But if I was 20, health is the most important thing. Your health and your word are the only two things you really have on this planet.
And when you say health, mind, body, spirit health?
Mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
And that comes with dream, purpose, legacy. Comes with connecting with nature, hydration, sleep, thinking, breathing. Hydration, nutrition, sleep, movement, breathing.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you so much for being here and talking with me today and sharing your wisdom. I learned a lot from your book. I highly recommend it. What was your takeaway? My takeaway from the book was, well, I just love people who are so authentic. And it was such an easy read, but you really brought people into, the shitstorm that you were in. And I saw, my takeaway was not only, yes, go for it. Keep pushing yourself, keep expanding. But then when I was reading your pillars, it was just a reminder of like, oh yeah, like, okay, if you have legacy is number one, right? Mm-hmm. If that's your, once you're clear on that, then all of your pillars help you build that. Right? You start making decisions based on your dream and everyone on your dream team. Yeah. And like I mentioned off the record, how the breath work in your book, you lay it out so simply, so quickly. And I did it right after I read that. And immediately I felt a change. And then I also went out for a walk. It was a quick, it's this book where I feel like it could be like a little bit of a Bible. Like you just carry it with you, open it, right? Open it when you kind of are feeling a little off or down. And then it's like, oh, nature. Okay. And I was like, oh, he's walking every day. I can walk. I could get my butt outside, and it does make such a difference. You come back, I'm sure like a lot of people, I could have a tendency just to like work. And then you don't realize you're being blocked, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get yourself outside, or you have some nice water or a piece of fruit or whatever. Just feed your soul, mind, body. You talking about balance? Maybe. Maybe. Shocking news for Americans. Shocking. So yeah, it's a great book and I definitely recommend it to people. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing this and writing this and doing what you're doing. And awesome. Where can people find you? Yes, they can find me at Certified Health Nut, branded across the internet, YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Twitter as well. And TroyCasey.com. They can find me the book. And I think everything's redirected right now to the book, which is rippedit50book.com. and certifiedhealthnut.com, and still working on my tech, but I think everything should be easy to find. I'm on Instagram every day, for sure. You are. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. Please let me know what you think. Leave a comment, share, and we'll be back next week with a new episode.